What is an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement? Let's get to it right here, right now. Stay tuned. Hey guys, I'm Rob Tetrault from robtetrault.com, Senior Portfolio Manager at Canaccord Genuity Wealth Management and the Tetrault Wealth Advisor Group. Today, we're talking about a non-disclosure agreement, when it's used, what it does, and what your rights are around it. If you'd like to book a chat to talk about this or anything else that's on your mind, please go to www.speaktorob.com. We'd love to book a no obligation consultation to chat with you about your investments, your portfolio, your retirement plan, whatever it may be. All right, guys, a non-disclosure agreement, an NDA. So it's a legally binding contract that guarantees or assures confidentiality between two parties. The parties agreeing to the non-disclosure agreement are signing off that they are sharing personal and confidential information, and they do not want that information shared with anyone. Both parties agree that they will not share that information with anyone else. An NDA can also be referred to as a confidentiality agreement. NDAs are super common when you're entering into a business agreement with someone, or you're contemplating purchasing an asset, or you're contemplating selling, or sometimes even through a job, you might have an NDA. So it's a common situation where you're finding out confidential information about the other party, and you want to make sure that that information does not get out. Now, remember, there can be two types of NDAs. First off is a non-mutual agreement. This typically applies to a new employee if they have access to sensitive information about the company. In that case, the employee is the only party signing the agreement, and they are prevented from sharing that confidential information. So in consideration for that, they get a salary or they get a job. And me as the employee, I cannot divulge any of the secrets, the trade secrets, the information that I gathered or have learned on my job. So what are the big advantages of an NDA? Clearly, the confidentiality is one. So if you have sensitive information regarding your company, R&D or patents or finances or negotiation, signing an NDA or having the other party sign an NDA is an extremely good way to protect that private information from becoming public. NDAs are also quite clear, so they specify exactly what can be disclosed to avoid confusion. They can be created at a low cost, and they're really just a signed piece of paper. It's one of the most cost-effective ways to maintain private information. At the end of the day, the NDA is not going to physically prevent that individual from sharing. You're not going to be able to go to the police and say, arrest that person. Your remedy would be a breach of contract, and you'd have to pursue that person. You'd have to sue them. You'd have to litigate to try to get as many dollars as you can from that person for breaching your agreement. But it does scare individuals enough that they typically won't share, or at least they'll think twice before sharing confidential information. One of the disadvantages of an NDA is that it starts the relationship, the first foot in the relationship, with a little bit of fear, right? A mistrust. It's kind of like a cohabitation agreement or a prenuptial agreement. It kind of sets the tone early on in the relationship that we might not be together forever. We might have problems down the line. Therefore, I need to put this in place now. Now, for most businesses, they understand, individuals' business, they understand it is part of life and it's part of business, but it can be a disadvantage for certain individuals. Oftentimes, NDAs can last anywhere from 1 year to 10 years. The time frame is typically put into the non-disclosure agreement. And if it isn't, sometimes the NDA can be indefinite. Now, where do you get an NDA? You could often find some half-decent ones online, some templates, or you can go to your local barrister, solicitor, your lawyer, and try to find one. Typically, they could draft you something for a few $1,000s. Remember, an NDA is a low-cost document that's created to be legally binding, and it's between two or more parties, and it ensures that confidential information remains private. The information that you don't want to leave the confines of that discussion shouldn't leave. You don't have a legal recourse other than suing that individual if ever they do breach the NDA, but it still gives you a little bit of confidence that the information will remain confidential. Make sure to keep your NDAs as clean as possible and as detailed as possible with respect to what is and what isn't a trade secret, what's confidential, for how long, etc., and which parts of the conversation and the details are meant to be private and which ones can be disclosed. Hey guys, remember, I'm not a practicing lawyer. Although I did practice law in the past, do not take this as legal advice. I am an inactive lawyer currently, and this is not legal advice. If you're thinking of getting an NDA and you don't know what to do, talk to a practicing lawyer at a local firm, and they'll be happy to give you a hand to draft one of these. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and follow. I'm Rob Tetrault from robtetrault.com, portfolio manager here at Canaccord Genuity Wealth Management and the Tetrault Wealth Advisor Group. If you'd like to book a no obligation consultation, go to www.speaktorob.com. Be happy to chat about this or anything else in your investment world, or maybe your retirement planning. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you in the next video.